The title. Has anyone made that joke before? They probably have. Hey everyone, it's Zay. I watched D&D Honor Among Thieves. I know I'm late to the party and sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. A lot of commitments with uni and everything, but yeah, it's really good. This is a fun movie. It's got good writing, good characters. It stands out from other fantasy movies. It's a really good time. The subtitle's a bit generic, Honor Among Thieves. That's the same one as one of the Sly Cooper games, actually. But this is a very enjoyable film, especially if you're into D&D. I don't have much exposure. I've only played one campaign. It was a Percy Jackson themed campaign. The only races were humans and gods. Gods are not a race. So what I'm saying is, it was not a typical D&D world. I have been reading up on the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm hoping to DM in the future, and I did recognize some elements. There's a lot of appreciable fan service for the fans. Anyway, let's get into the plot. We open on a cold, frigid tundra. A horse-drawn vehicle pulls up to a prison, and an orc is led to his cell, where we meet the two main characters. Edgin Darvis, a bard who used to be a paladin, although he didn't seem to do much fighting, and Holger Kilgore, a barbarian. The orc tries to have his way with Holger, and she proceeds to smash his head into a wall. One wonders if placing the orc in this cell was intended as an execution. Edgin doesn't react much to this, so we immediately are given a demonstration of who these characters are. After this, they go to the council of the prison for Edgin to make their case of why they should be pardoned. One of the members, Jonathan, is late. Edgin was hoping he would be there, since apparently their release depended on Jonathan being present, despite neither of them knowing him personally. He goes over his backstory. He was a member of a heroic organization known as the Harpers. He arrested a cultist, one of the Red Wizards, and this led to a Red Wizard arriving at his house and killing his wife. Sad state of affairs. He forsakes his oath, raises his daughter Kira with Holger, and turns to a life of crime with the aid of a sorcerer named Simon. Simon the Sorcerer. I wonder if that's intentional. Well, I know nothing about the Simon the Sorcerer games. Maybe they were inspired by D&D and it's the other way around? And a con man named Forge, who I'm not sure if he was a PC or an NPC. He's definitely an NPC in the main story. Anyway, he abandons his criminal ways, but turns back when receiving an assignment from a mysterious wizard named Safina to plunder a Harper vault. He initially declines, but decides to go when he hears the vault contains a tablet of reawakening, which he can use to resurrect his wife. Safina retains the mysterious horn she was looking for. She's the bad guy, if you couldn't tell, and Edgin gets the tablet. But then the authorities show up and Safina uses a time stop spell to escape, immobilizing Edgin and Holger in the process, leading to their capture. Edgin throws Forge the tablet before he freezes under the promise that he will take care of Kira. By telling this story, Edgin has caused enough delay for Jonathan to arrive, and it's revealed why Edgin needed him. Edgin's escape plan required Jonathan present, due to him being a bird and capable of flight. He and Holger drag him out the window and force him to save himself in order to land safely. This is a spectacular method of egress, and it demonstrates how mad and creative Edgin is. The funniest thing is one of the councillors shouting out, "But we approved your pardon!" I can just imagine Edgin's player concocting this escape plan when the DM was just going to have them released. By the way, it really does feel like a D&D campaign. You can just imagine the players making the decisions and the DM reacting to them. You never see these players, nor do you hear their voices like in DM of the Rings. That would be kind of corny and would not suit the tone of the story. Rather, it lets you imagine what it would be like sitting at that table as we see their special game play out. Edgin and Holger go to find Forge and Kira and learn that Forge has become the Lord of Neverwinter. They go to see them, but Kira's relationship with Edgin has become strained. They go talk with Forge and his advisor Safina. Turns out, he lied to Kira. He neglected to tell her that Edgin wanted to rob the vault to bring back his wife, convincing her that it was for his own greed. They have something to say about that, but Safina is too powerful, and Forge decides to have them killed. After a cool action scene with Holger showing her moves, she and Edgin leave and consider their options. This might be a good time to talk about the characters. Edgin is an excellent protagonist, Chris Pine really does do a good job of being the charming bard. It's also noteworthy to have the main character character in a fantasy movie be incapable of using magical abilities. Instead, his skills are leadership and inspiration. Reminds me of Missy from We Can Be Heroes. Anyone remember We Can Be Heroes? No? Anyway, Michelle Rodriguez as Holger is an utter badass, but she has moments of vulnerability. On the villain's side, it does the Final Fantasy V thing where the main antagonist is all serious and boring, so they compromise by having an interesting and fun villain for most of the story. Hugh Grant is a great actor, although this was certainly not his type of character. Nevertheless, he plays Forge brilliantly, and is a highlight of the film. Edgar and Holger realize they need to get into Forge's vault, so they enlist the help of Simon from earlier and his old fling, the tiefling druid Doric. Doric uses wild shaping to investigate the arcane seal on the vault, and they realize that they need to obtain the Helm of Disjunction to open it. They go to a graveyard of Holger's ancestors so that Simon can have a talk with the fallen soldiers. He uses the Speak with Dead spell, which brings them back to life so that they can ask them 5 questions each, and only 5 questions before they die permanently. Simon trips and plants his hand into one of the corpses, kind of like in 1917, except played for laughs. Anyway, the writers derived much humor from the Speak with Dead spell and how it works, and it results in a very funny scene which made me chuckle. And it does feel like the humor a group of friends would come up with. They go and meet the Thay Paladin Zhenk, the all-powerful, perfect, unbeatable DMPC. He's so much better than you may as well bend over and spread your cheeks. They venture into the Underdark to get the helm, and this is a terrific cinematic portrayal of the Underdark. It's rich and detailed, it's just nice to see. They come across a bridge, and Zhenk begins explaining the overly complex solution to the puzzle, only for Simon to trip the trap and make the bridge collapse. And at this point, the DM is probably looking at the group like, they're able to get across with a staff Holger was carrying, essentially a portal gun. They get some mileage out of this portal staff. It's a really interesting idea that's executed quite well. They have an encounter with some Thay undead, and after an enjoyable action sequence in which Zhenk the all-powerful DMPC defeats the undead, he then explains that you can't actually kill them, and they end up running away anyway. So what was the point of the previous 30 seconds? So we could see Zhenk in action, I guess. Then a dragon shows up. It wouldn't be Dungeons and Dragons without dragons, would it? Well, actually, I think most campaigns don't have dragons in them. Anyway, this is a flawed dragon. It's not the most powerful kind, but still not something to be trifled with. This results in a thrilling chase sequence, which culminates in the team being trapped in a cavity while it's filling with water. They make it out of this, of course, and after this, Zhenk leaves the group. I guess the players got sick of the DMPC solving every problem. Maybe he's not a DMPC, maybe he's just an experienced player who could only come to one session. That's about all I'm going to cover in terms of plot. This is a really fun time. It's really interesting to see the characters, or the players, find creative solutions to the problems using their abilities. Without spoiling too much, the way they get out of the cavity with the dragon in an interesting way, they use the portal staff in some creative ways, and they later take advantage of a gelatinous cube, and I could not have predicted that. That would be an awesome game. The final battle against Safina is awesome, and while I kinda poo-hooed on Safina earlier, Daisy Head actually has some good stage presence. The film has well-written humor, expertly crafted action, and unprecedented for a movie in this day and age, minimal CGI. Yeah, they filmed this with the philosophy of, if you can capture something on camera as is, do. And I tell you, the practical effects are nothing short of brilliant. They shoot on location at fantastic environments. The suits and animatronics, it's amazing. Like, look at the suit they got for Jonathan. The craftwork in the wings. And for things like the corpses, the makeup is phenomenal. They do use CGI, of course, for things like the gelatinous cube. And the CGI is pretty good. They use it well as a tool, because that's what CGI should be. It should be used as a tool, not a crutch. The fact that this movie sold well with its liberal use of practical effects should hopefully be a wake-up call to Hollywood, and maybe we'll start seeing more films like this one, but only time will tell. That's about it for this review, so yeah, it's definitely worth a watch, so I'll be heading off. I'm actually staying right here, but thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and ring the bell if you want to see more. Yeah. See ya!